A key report setting out the future plans for the River Murray has been delayed until after the federal election. And we've spoken already, this is an appalling turn of affairs. The Murray Darling Basin Authority has released a statement saying it believed because of caretaker provisions, it should hold off releasing the report until the end of August. The report we'd been told all year would be released mid-year. One that we understand is ready to be released. The election gets cold, plans change, and we are none the wiser on who to vote for when it comes to all-important water policy come August 21. Someone who is affected, obviously, by that is Danny O'Brien of the National Irrigators Council. He joins us now. Danny, good afternoon to you.
Welcome, Danny.
Good afternoon from chilly Canberra. I can confirm it is pretty cold.
It is pretty cold over there.
In fact, it was -5 this morning. So
-5.
Have you seen Rob frozen on the side of the street somewhere? Can you tell him we say hi?
Okay, I'll do that.
Danny,
It's at least sunny and blue skies here today.
Danny, talk to us about the delaying of this report, the release of this report. It must be incredibly frustrating for you and your constituents in the Irrigators Council.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've been waiting for this for some time. We were told mid-year. We're now at the end of July, and it's certainly beyond mid-year as far as I read it. And now we're being told, of course, that it won't be until after the election, and it's really looking at September. So it is frustrating. It's I guess the concern from our members' point of view is that it's building the uncertainty. We've been known this is coming for a while, and people are anxious about what it's going to involve. We're expecting, we certainly understand that there'll be cuts to water availability for irrigation, but we don't know what the level of those cuts are, where they'll be, which valleys will be most affected, and it's really just building that uncertainty and making people very anxious.
Well, the thing that annoys me, Danny, is that whilst it may appear a shrewd political manoeuvre for those that have their stakes in that side of the fence, for those people that it actually affects on the ground at the end of the day, people like yourself, you're being hurt by this being delayed.
Oh, that's right. I mean, people make try to make investment decisions. They're trying to look at what they're going to do with the future of their farm. So many of my members, they're thinking about whether they sell water, whether they buy water, whether they get into the market or out of the market altogether. And there's just this just creates a huge amount of uncertainty. So it really is disappointing that it's been put off again.
So what do you feel about their excuses for putting the delay of the report out and what the truth is?
Well, I can quote to you there's a guide to the caretaker conventions on the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet website, and it says that governments should avoid making major policy decisions that are likely to commit an incoming government, making significant appointments, or entering into major contracts or undertakings. Now, the guide to the Basin Plan is none of those. Very clearly, it's a draft of a draft, if you like, and even the authority is keen to point out that this is effectively a discussion paper. So it's certainly not a policy decision. Yes, it's a major policy change, and it will be when it's adopted. But the time for politicians to make decisions on it won't come until well into next year sometime. So we think it's a spurious argument to say that we have to put it off because of the caretaker convention. It does have political fingerprints all over it.
No, absolutely. No, I don't think anyone could possibly deny that now, especially when you talk about a flimsy excuse like that. And I think we're all fairly well versed in the notion and the idea behind the caretaker government and what it means in the lead up to an election. And surely a paper like this has absolutely no impact on that. I think the other annoying thing, Danny, would probably be that hey, there's a lot of people that are looking to vote, and they want to do what's best by the most important water system in the country, and the most important report that was due to come out hasn't, and we're none the wiser. Where do we go from here?
That's right. I mean, that's the point we've made, that people are going to vote both inside the basin and those outside. All Australians have an interest in this because it potentially has an impact on jobs, it has an impact on farms that have been in families for generations, but also could send the price of food up if we have a significant cut in water availability. So it affects all Australians, and we think it's only reasonable that they have the opportunity to question candidates and political parties on what their views are on this before they go in to cast their ballot. And, the outcome that we've got now means that we're all fumbling about in the dark, and there's not an open and transparent process.
There's a healthy amount of cynicism out there, I think, in the community when it comes to politicians. But for someone that is in the business of dealing with governments on major issues like this, Danny, is it even a surprise to you that a government would put its political aspirations or prioritise those above the good of the river? I mean, that just seems certainly a bridge too far.
I think when you've spent a bit of time in Canberra, and it doesn't take long before nothing surprises you much. But yeah, I mean, certainly we can see this fairly cynically, I think, and it's difficult to understand, I guess, how this will play out. Or I guess the other example that I'd perhaps give it is the equivalent of a political party or a government saying, oh, we're going to introduce a new tax. But we're not going to tell you what it is, who will pay it, and what the rate is until after the election.
Yep.
And that's the sort of equivalency we're talking about here, because, well, frankly, certainly for my members, this is far worse, or potentially far worse than the mining tax. This is not a tax on profits. This is going to remove profits and potentially have a significant impact on hundreds of farms, thousands of farms, and more particularly the wider community in the Murray Darling Basin.
Look, it's certainly not fair. I guess moving on from what's happened, is there any speculation that you have on what the scale of change and the impact that the report will have?
There's plenty of speculation. I mean, we've deliberately tried to avoid talking about numbers or anything, and that's again because we don't want to add to the uncertainty and speculation. We don't think that's necessarily helpful, but we can only go by our read of the Water Act, which directs how the plan is to be written, and from our perspective, I think any read of it would make it clear that it's really all about the environment, and we support reform to improve the health of the river. Yep. After all, irrigators rely on a healthy river more than anyone, but we're really concerned that this is going to overcorrect, and that an appropriate balance won't be struck. So that's our main concern, and if that is the case, then that's going to have a big impact on a lot of these basin communities.
Certainly will.
Well, Danny, I would wish you all the best, but I get the distinct feeling that this is one's well and truly out of your hands, and you sort of have to just wait around till the end of August, and then from there do the best with what you're left with. But we do thank you for your time, and Danny, and in spite of that, do wish you all the best.
No problem at all, guys.
Danny O'Brien there from the National Irrigators Council.